Welcome again, Internet, to the second edition of Newton Daily News Sports Chat, which is what we decided to call it.
Yeah.
So we're good there. One thing out of the way there. Mike Hockett, Shane Lucas here, back for the second week, talk about Jasper County sports. Jumping right into it, Mike. Another tough weekend for Newton football against Knoxville. I guess kind of talk about what we saw there down in Knoxville Friday night.
It was Knoxville. They're not a bad team. Looks like they're kind of right outside the top 10 as far as the latest Associated Press poll. But yeah, they lost 12-6. Newton didn't get their only score until late in the fourth quarter, and that was on a fumble. They fumbled into Knoxville's end zone. Dakota Hills jumped on it for a score, but I guess if you can take one positive for Newton out of that game, it's their defense. They held Knoxville to just about 200 yards total offense, and they were defending a short field the whole game. So I mean, that's about all you can ask out of them. But yeah, still they lost that game even though they won the turnover battle 3-1. Their offense really hasn't gotten going yet. They were held to about 130 yards of total offense, and they're going to need to do a lot better than that if they're going to pick up a few wins this season.
You see, there's a lot of that probably inexperience, especially when you got a sophomore at quarterback.
Right.
I'm not sure about the skill positions besides Colin Reynolds. How much experience is there?
Right. Yeah. Talking to Ed Ergum, right, he said that at one point in the game there were 7 sophomores in the game, which he said might be an all-time record for Newton.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that inexperience, especially at the skill positions, is kind of really limiting their production right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw a game in CMB. Obviously, a couple scary moments for CMB. What can you say about that game?
Mm-hmm. We had a tight game, close, kind of tough loss for CMB. 35-28 to Roland Story. Real back and forth game all night. Kind of came down to Roland Story scoring right at the end. CMB kind of leading the comeback drive. Zach Sampson looked real good at the end of the game there. Led a drive, came down to the last play. I think 2-3 seconds left on the clock. He kind of, Seneca Wallace style, scrambled all around, got stuffed kind of right on the goal line. A tough loss for them. I know a lot of the crowd thought he was in. Some people on the sideline said he wasn't that close, but I was up in the press box at the time, so I can't attest to that. But yeah, the scary moment, Bryce Kemp getting injured, real late in the game. He was taken off the field in an ambulance. I've since learned from Coach Luther that he is okay. He was back at school that next Tuesday. He'll just kind of, I think, be continually monitored at the doctors for the next couple of weeks. But I'm assuming he's done for the season for football. Rest of the year, I'm not sure. I won't even speculate on. Hopefully he can come back. He's multiple sport athlete for them. Mm-hmm. Real promising kid, real good athlete, just a sophomore. So, wish him the best there. Kind of shifting gears, going to cross country. You saw a couple of teams in action yesterday. Saw performance from Grace Cohen.
In Grinnell, there was Newton, PCM, and Linville Sully were all in action. And for Newton, Grace Cohen picked up her third win, and they've only had 3 meets, so she's 3 for 3. Obviously another great run for her. She won in 16 minutes flat, which I believe is the season best for her. Other than that, Newton girls had a little bit of a down meet. A couple of their girls had to pull out because of heat exhaustion. It's kind of something they've had to deal with in all 3 meets. It's been about 90 degrees for each meet, which it's got to be kind of annoying when you get there. Then all of a sudden you have to deal with the heat, so that's kind of always a risk. But then and then also the Newton boys, they took 3rd out of 14 teams, which, considering they took, I think it was 9th last year, and this is basically the same roster that they had from last year. They picked up a couple new freshmen that have really helped out. I know Coach John Bartello is really pleased with the improvement they've made this year, and it looks like they're going to be kind of in at least the upper half of whatever meet that they go to. And they have another big meet on Thursday at Johnston where they'll be running against some big schools, and it'll be real interesting to see, especially for Grace Cohen, running against some of the other real good 4A runners, where she hasn't really been pushed too hard so far in these first 3 meets.
I just kind of talk about her. She kind of switched up her style, I guess, this past race. She kind of got off to a big lead before, and then she kind of hung with the pack this time.
Right. Her first 2 races, she had pretty easy wins, but in those ones she kind of ran with the lead pack for about the first mile and a half, and then once she hit that point, she just kind of separated herself and took off and put some distance between her and second place for the win. This time she sprinted out to lead right away and just kept that the entire way. She didn't even kind of worry about hanging with anyone else. She just went all out right away, and it worked again for her. So it'll be interesting to see if she keeps that same strategy from now on. Now, as far as coming up also on Thursday, we have Newton Golf. They have a big meet. They host their first one of the season here at Westwood. Just anything you're looking to see out of those guys?
That's their first and only one, actually. This summer, I know Coach Riley's real excited about. A lot of the golfers are excited about. They had a tough round in Ankeny last week. Kind of bounced back yesterday at Tumwa. A lot of scores dropped. But I know just kind of the knowledge of the home course is something they're all really looking forward to. I know Southeast Polk will be there. I know that's the one team that they're really kind of looking out for. But yeah, otherwise they're kind of, they're thinking victory. They're all confident. Coach Riley said, they just need to kind of keep things under control. Don't try to pull any shortcuts, with that knowledge of the course. So tomorrow could be a big one. Could be a nice momentum boost for them, especially kind of after the tough week they had there.
All right. Then another big thing coming on Thursday, Newton Volleyball. They're back in action, I think, for the first time since last Thursday.
Yep.
I know they've had a good season so far. Just anything else about that one coming up?
Yeah, just the conference opener against Norwalk. They've been playing a lot of high-level competition so far this year. They're real, battle-tested for this early on in the season. Norwalk, I'm not too sure about yet. Haven't seen them anywhere else. Not too sure about them, but if the Cardinals go out there and kind of take care of business, they're going to be, I'd say one of the tougher teams, at least in the conference. Sure. Maybe, throughout the class. A lot of height, a lot of experience, a lot of returning players there. Mm-hmm. So, it'll be the good first conference test to see exactly how far they've come since the beginning of the year.
All right. Other than that, also on Thursday, I think we have our other three area teams, PCM, CMB, and Colfax Mingo, are all at home, I think, Thursday night as far as volleyball goes. So it'll be a busy night as far as Jasper County volleyball goes. And then that brings us to Friday, obviously, the third football Friday of the season. Just you're going to be at Colfax Mingo, who's hosting Van Meter. Just Colfax Mingo coming off 2 wins. They're 2-1. They beat Sadell and then Southeast Warren last week. Just what can you say about, obviously, some momentum going for those guys?
They're making the trip out to Van Meter, so that might be kind of a haul for them. But definitely coming off 2 wins. It's kind of been interesting just looking at the stats. Their passing game has kind of taken a transformation. Jaden Van Dyke completed a lot of passes 2 weeks ago. Last week they switched mainly towards the running game, also anchored by Jaden Van Dyke. So he's kind of doing it all, a little bit of everything right now. But, they've been scoring points. The defense seems like it's done a lot better since that first week where they kind of got run over. Forced, I think, 5-6 turnovers last week. So if they can keep that going, Van Meter might be a good test for them. They're 1-1 on the year. Have a real dual threat quarterback, Brandon Britton, I believe his name is. Just as many passing yards as rushing yards. So he'll be the one to contain.
And I think someone who deserves mention for Colfax Mingo is Jimmy Abel. He's 5'6", 130 pounds. He ended up with 3 interceptions last week. Took one in the house. I mean, you look at the kid; he's the smallest kid on the field, but obviously he had a huge impact. So
yeah, we remember seeing him last year at wrestling. He was a state qualifier in wrestling. He's just as tenacious is a good word for him. Just a tenacious little kid. Just a sophomore, like you said, and he should be fun to watch. This season, probably a couple years to come from now on. And you are also on the road?
Yeah, Newton will head up to Boone on Friday. That'll be another tough game. Boone, they're kind of just outside the top 10 of the latest poll. They're 2-0. They're a real big team. They've basically just gone smash mouth kind of style. They just kind of pound you until you wear down in the fourth quarter. They beat Perry, I think it was 40-16 last week. So Newton will definitely have their hands full. Norwalk, they got a senior quarterback who's a big kid. They got a couple big wide receivers. They got a running back who's, I think, second in the district so far in rushing. And this will be the district opener for a lot of the teams, most of the teams in the state. So it'll kind of be the first look at what Newton can expect as far as kind of going forward in the future as far as these teams are going to see.
Yeah, like you said, we got a couple district openers this weekend. CMB at Bondurant-Farrar, which a lot of the coaches said that Bondurant-Farrar is probably the favorite in that district. They got a lot coming back. PCM not in district play just yet against West Marshall. Big showdown from the one of the sub-state games, I guess, from last year. They kind of had the two schools kind of have a budding rivalry just with how many times they've met in the postseason. So that'd be a nice test for PCM as well.
And then, another game, Linville-Sully. They're at Pekin. Pekin, they're ranked 8th in Class A. Linville-Sully started the season in the top 10. They've kind of dropped out a little bit now. But that'll be a big game as far as it could go a long way towards deciding the eventual champion of that one, because they're arguably, you could say, the 2 best teams in that district. So Linville-Sully, they took a tough loss in week 1, but they bounced back with a nice win last week. So, that'll be a big game for Linville-Sully coming up on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I guess if you just want to run down the schedule, I guess kind of highlight some of the other stuff we got coming on here.
We can kind of touch on a few of these things for Newton. Newton Golf, we said that they host an invitational at Westwood on Thursday, which is tomorrow. Cross country, Newton is out at Johnston. PCM will be there as well. And then at night, Newton Volleyball, they host Norwalk. And like we said, Colfax Mingo, Linville-Sully, and PCM, I believe, are all at home for volleyball. And then Friday, like we touched on, the football games we have, Newton's at Boone, and then he'll be at Colfax Mingo is at Van Meter. Saturday, the only high school action going on is Linville-Sully volleyball at Twin Cedars. And then obviously Saturday is Super Bowl of Iowa coming up, Iowa State at Iowa. I know pretty much everyone's going to be watching, or they might even be in Iowa City by that point. That brings us to Monday, Newton Boys Golf as another big meet at Ames. And then Linville-Sully cross country, they're going to be at Ballard. And then that brings us to Tuesday, where Newton cross country will be at Oskaloosa. Girls swimming will finally be back in action. The Aqua Girls, they're at Southeast Polk. They have a good rivalry with them. And then Newton volleyball is at Pella Christian that night. Also that night, PCM, CMB, and Colfax Mingo volleyball are all at home. And that pretty much wraps up the schedule through Tuesday.
I know you're a Badger fan. You got any plans for the Iowa Super Bowl, as you put it?
I'm still debating if I'm going to be at that game or not. I've only shot one game at Iowa. That was a couple years ago when they played Wisconsin. But I shot that Iowa State game last year in Ames, and that was a pretty amazing game to be at. So it definitely wouldn't hurt being at that game on the sideline. So either way, I'll be watching that game in some form.
I might be there, but I might have to watch it on TV. I've been locked out trying to find tickets, so I might be stuck there. Is there anything else you want to discuss? We'll probably wrap things up here again.
I think that's about all I got.
All right, well, second showdown. Hopefully it went smoother than the first one. Hopefully we'll just keep improving here. So in the meantime, we'll see you out in the stands or in the gym or wherever. But take it easy, Jasper County.